Hello, freak bitches.
That I don't think I want to go back to.
Really?
I don't think I want to go back to. And
You feel like you have an unhealthy relationship or had an unhealthy relationship with marijuana?
I was smoking way too much pot. I was smoking way too much pot. Literally breakfast, lunch, and dinner in between workouts. To study film, to do everything. I was just. And for me, there's some functional smokers who can wake up and they have 8 things they're gonna do that day, and they do all 8 things. Like me, I would wake up and I had 8 things I needed to do that day, and I'd be like, oh, I got 3 of them done today. Like I'm good with that. Like it slowed me down. It slowed me down, and now that I haven't been smoking, I just feel a lot better. I feel a lot better. I feel more on my game. I feel sharper.
I'm thinking of sparking up a joint right now.
Go ahead.
I'm like,
Joe.
what are you saying?
I know it's probably hard for you to hear. I know this probably.
Well, no, I mean, honestly.
It hits everybody differently.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And that's important. And so does Red Bull, and so does alcohol, and so does everything else.
Yeah.
You know,
It was all day, every day for me.
But do you think that you, was it all day, every day because you were looking for an escape, or was it all day, every day because it had formed a habit and that's what you were used to doing?
It just became a way of life.
Ended. As long as it lasted, rather.
One of the cool things that we've gotten is the ability to hang out casually with these fighters. Like having just breakfast with Randy, seeing him, having with enough times with you that I remember one time I was like going into a buffet or whatever, or the hotel, like free breakfast, and like looking around and just having him go like, hey, you sit with me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. And
I
just
know,
like,
right?
oh, you're just such sought after. And I'm just like, I'm talking about nothing. But some of my favorites were in Chicago, to going to the weigh-ins, and then like, let's go to the show, and then just drunk driving with Clay Guida. I'm like, I'll drive you. And it's his city. It's his city.
Yeah.
And he's like, come with me. We're like, okay. And you white knuckling, holding onto the front seat as he's swerving with a brown paper bag.
He drives like he fights.
And I'm just like, I accept death. So either way, it doesn't matter. And him just going for it on these highways that he knows. And then I believe the rain. And it was just like, so fun.
Yeah, good times.
Another one that I remember early on, Jon Jones. He wasn't anything then. He was 4-0 maybe or something like that. Meeting him, talking about shit, and I could talk about this now because it's no longer a banned substance in the UFC, but like talking about weed.
Yeah.
And was like, yeah, let's smoke, bro. He wasn't anything. He wasn't anything. And just going like, he's like, who's got weed? I'm like, oh, Rogan's got it, but he's in his hotel room. And texting you, flip phone texting you, back when it wasn't cool, to have like hip to have a flip phone, when it was like, that's all anybody had. That's how long ago.
Right.
And then just going like, maybe it's then, maybe it was early iPhone, but like just going, hey man, are you up? And you're like, yeah, I'm kind of tired, I'm going to sleep. And it was like, fuck, John, I think he doesn't want us up there. And then like, no, let's go. He's got the weed. Let's go. Because some fan gave it to us, right? You had this fucking tin foil of weed, and just knocking on your door, and you're like, what? And you're like, you were tired, and it was like, do you have that weed? You're like, dude, come on, I want to go to sleep. It's like, me and John want to smoke, and you're like, you looked at us, you opened the door fully, and looked at me and this young fighter, and you were like, come on in. And we all smoked pot together in this hotel room in fucking wherever it was. I think Montreal, actually.
I think it was Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun time. And then seeing this guy move on to become the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
Well, we also had a conversation with him about I wanted him to go to a different camp.
That's right. He was training in fucking
New
YouTube
York
videos
somewhere.
in New York.
Yeah.
With
I was
his
like,
buddies
dude,
in a garage.
You're too good. I'm like, you should be in a real camp.
That's right. We had that over weed in a hotel room.
He's like, you really think so? I go, I know so. I go, you only have a certain amount of time in this thing. I go, and your time should be invested with a real coach who's going to hone your skills. I go, you could be an all-time great, man.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember telling him that. He's like, you really think so? I go, I know so. I know so. You really got to move on.
I forgot about that part of it. How influential was that in the fucking future of mixed martial arts?
I hope it helped,
He did. He went to Winklejohn.
Yeah.
Jackson Winklejohn, eventually.
I mean, he might have done it anyway.
He might have.
Who knows? But I think it was a good conversation to have with a young guy. It's like, listen, man, you have real talent. Like, you could really be something, but you got to be coached by guys who are gonna find out your tendencies.
Yeah, your bouncing technique isn't gonna go take you that far.
Well, I mean, he was so good. Who knows how far? He might have been a world champion even with the camp that he was in.
Yeah.
He's so good, and his wrestling is so powerful, and he's so physically talented. But it made a big difference for him to go to Jackson's and be able to train on a regular basis with world-class fighters.
Yeah.
Being there on a daily basis with Carlos Condit, who was, at the top of his game back then. And,
that's right.
I mean, Keith Jardine, and they just had a massive
They had
group
what
of
Tate
killers.
told me, they called it the Ring of Fire, where you go 5 rounds of sparring to get ready for a fight with a different highest level fighter. So like Nate Marquardt, like, cool, that was round 1, get out of here. Jardine, you come in.
Yeah.
And now I just finished a fucking round with Nate Marquardt. Now I got to go with Keith Jardine. Cool, round 3,
Yep.
Jardine, get out. Jon Jones, you come in.
Yep.
And it's like, what? I mean, the training you got there at Craig Jackson's camp, we're like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a reason why so many extremely high-level fighters were coming out of there. And then Rashad Evans was there as well, too. And Rashad had a real problem with Jon coming there because Rashad was like, hey, this guy's in my weight class.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? Have one guy at each weight class?
Right. It's an issue. Yeah. And then, Rashad and Jon became friends.
Yeah, they
and
never
then
fought.
They did fight.
Did they whip?
Yes.
When?
They fought, and Jon beat the shit out of him.
I don't even remember that.
They fought after they had a big falling out because Rashad was upset that, Jon wound up getting a title shot and beat Shogun because Rashad got injured. Rashad was supposed to get the title shot. Jon steps in, and they were friends at the time. And then somewhere along the line, then the trash talk started, I'll fight Rashad, fuck it. And then it was like, man, I thought we were friends. And then...
Oh, yeah, that's back when it was like, you guys can fight as friends. You don't have to like be at enemies with everybody you fight. It's a sport, and it's a money thing.
And then when Jon beat him, it was a real drubbing. And it was 5 rounds. It was a decision. And it was a real clear-cut, unanimous decision. He did some crazy shit to him, like step in, elbow to the face, rocked him.
Oh, yeah, I kind of do remember this one now.
And this was Jon when he was developing. It wasn't even Jon like the Jon that knocked out DC.
I remember him when he was saying in fights, I didn't really ever see this with other fighters, where he would talk about, after wins, talking about the holes, the fuck-ups he had, more than what he did right. Whereas most guys would be braggadocious and be like, I loved it, but it was like...
He was upset at things that went wrong.
Yeah, I guess I got to cover that up. That could get exposed. I got to,
Jon's a fucking smart dude. I mean, as reckless and chaotic as he is, and, I've said this before that I don't know what causes that kind of recklessness, but there is a direct correlation between traumatic brain injury, brain damage, and impulsive behavior and recklessness. It's a fact. It's well researched. It's well documented in neuroscience. They know that there's a connection. I don't want to exonerate him from his past behavior, but we see that in football players. We see that in BMX riders that go crazy and fucking land on their head a bunch of times. People, they get crazy.
Wow.
They get wild and impulsive. And it's just a fact. It's just a part of the game. Those people that engage in any kind of an activity where your brain gets rattled on a regular basis, you are way more likely to do ridiculous things that don't make any sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah, it does. That's what I said about Jon. Or you can talk to Jon about it, I know Jon was upset with me after one of those things. Before we actually did a podcast together, he was upset, and I said, listen, man, I have to be honest.